getting any type of exposure is not necessarily the best thing on the planet. Okay, they need to build up natural immunity to pathogens also. So we have our thymus gland, which is also part of the endocrine system, but it's also found here for the T cells. Our lymph nodes, we have quite a few. Like I said, one-way fluid flow, concentrated in different areas of the body. On average, we have roughly 450 throughout this trunk region. The job, cleanse the lymph that moves through and be our activation site of T cells and B cells that are sitting there. It has a cortex and a medulla, an outer portion and an inner portion. The cortex has my lymphatic nodules, all right? This is an area for B cells to increase in number and differentiate. Now, this comes into play for specific immunity. All right? That is very important in stuff like the Igs, immunoglobulins. All right? Something to go fight a specific pathogen. All right? The medulla has that reticular tissue where it looks like branching that's occurring. In here, I've got lymphocytes, like the T cells, B cells. I've got some plasma cells, which are going to come from B cells. I've got some macrophages that are just gobbling stuff up, reticular cells, and of course reticular fibers. So the cortex and the medulla of the lymph node have a very cool structure. It's actually a structure set up for cells to get stuck so that they can sit and wait as the fluid passes through for something to fly by and take care of it. Our tonsils. Think about where tonsils are located. They're located to an area that is very open to the external environment. They're located along the back of the throat and so forth. So we have them located at the entrance to my pharynx. All right? They have crypts, C-R-Y-P-T. This is a pit lined with the nodules, the lymph tissue. We have pharyngeal, palatine, lingual. Did y'all know we had that many? Ever notice somebody had the tonsils taken out?
No.
Did you have them taken out?
No.
Did you have them taken out? How young were you?
I was in 5th grade.
Okay, okay. Relatively young. Okay. Huh?
He said, oh, a couple years ago.
Okay, so the pharyngeal, these are the ones that we tend to think of as the adenoids. All right? They're on the wall of the pharynx behind my nasal cavity. I can't really point to it. Okay? Palatine, the posterior margin of the oral cavity. Okay? Lingual on each side at the root of the tongue. They're kind of cool, okay, unless you have to have them taken out. Spleen, another organ, is the largest one of the lymphatic system. We have in the spleen red pulp and white pulp. Red pulp is where it's full of my red blood cells, the erythrocytes. the white is, of course, the white blood cells, where it's the lymphocytes, macrophages, and they're there monitoring the blood coming in for any type of pathogens. So, what is a pathogen? Anything that can cause disease in the body is a pathogen. We tend to think of viruses and bacteria. It's not simply just those two things, okay? There are many other things that are considered pathogens that try to invade the body. Like I keep saying, we have 3 lines of defense. My first line of defense is simply my external barriers, my skin and my mucous membranes, because any opening that is to the exterior of the body has the mucous membranes. In these membranes are lots of my material that can help fight any type of pathogen. In my second line of defense, at the second line of defense, it is nothing specific. This is still, my first line of defense is non-specific because it's trying to take care of anything that tries to invade me, okay? The second line, once again, is non-specific. I haven't gotten specific on what I have to fight. I just know there's a pathogen and I want to get rid of it. Virus, bacteria, toxin, allergen, whatever the case might be. Okay? It's non-specific. The way it acts against the pathogen does not change. It does not matter what the pathogen is. The body's going to act the same way towards it. So, I'll have some leukocytes, I'll have some macrophages, I might have natural killer cells, I might have some proteins that are going to be antimicrobial. The response is the same. Inflammation, fever. For example, paper cut. I have now breached my first line of defense, have I not? I have now breached that first line with a paper cut. Is the reaction to the paper cut between me and you going to be different? No. Chances are you're going to recognize it, unless there's other physical conditions, okay? But under normal circumstances, you're going to recognize it. You're going to see the little bit of blood. You might go wash your hands. Some of us might just do this number. Some of them, okay? Whatever the case might be. And then you're going to simply look at it and be aware, and you're done. In the meantime, my second line, still non-specific, is going to rush materials to that area. It's going to send in macrophages. It's going to send in clotting factors because I got to make sure the breach is closed up. And it might inflame a little bit. Now I'm talking a paper cut, you're not probably even going to notice it, but if you were to study it very closely, you would get a little bit of inflammation and it would get red and hot around the area. That's not going to be any different than anybody else's response. My first two lines of defense are the same across the board. They're not targeting a specific pathogen. They want to take care of all of it. Does that make sense? That changes with my third line of defense. My first and my second across the board. Third, no. That's going to get specific. We're going to stop right there for today.